Hello and welcome to the Knock On KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast. We've a full house today. We've five in the house today. Tom Cruddy, James Blanchfield, Johnny Tobin and Paddy Brown to my right hand side, or to my left.
Yeah, you may get a go at that, Stephen.
I know, honest to God. Welcome, Paddy. Paddy's going to step in and keep an eye on all things Tullow for the season as they embark, I suppose, their journey, which they've already done in Division 1A of the Leinster League. Johnny Tobin is a busy man at the moment. Plenty going on, looking after the colleges rugby in SCTU and everything as well. But Johnny, you're stepping out for a small while.
Going into retirement, as the fella says. As James used to always say, pasture's greener. But I'm just I'm staying in the one paddock, I think. Just a busy year at home and stuff. A lot going on, so I'll let Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Brown, take over for the year, and he'll no doubt do a good job.
Absolutely.
You know, Johnny, I used to say when you were retiring from rugby that you had to play rugby to actually retire. So, you know, I'm delighted that you are actually.
James. I'd say
that you are actually.
We've had 3 seasons.
I'm delighted that you actually have something to retire from now.
Yeah. Well, all I know is I won't have to listen or look at you and Tom Crowley every Thursday for the rest of the year.
You're going to be very sad, Johnny. Tell you. You'll miss us.
Oh, I will. And honestly, though, lads, it was a great old run, in fairness. 2 good years.
Yeah. As I said, it was
things go against you in life, and you have to roll with the punches, unfortunately. So that's what I'm doing.
It's kind of like Brian McFadden leaving Westlife, isn't it? As I said, Bonehead leaving Oasis, like, you know.
Well, I would have said Robbie Williams leaving Take That, but you know, anyway.
Yeah, Johnny, you're no Robbie Williams boy.
You haven't heard me sing in the shower, Tom.
Tell you, it wasn't half bad though, Johnny. We had a Towns Cup for Kilkenny and a Towns Cup for Tullow and a league and everything on the way as well. And Carlow storming
and
through
a
the
Carp
league
DM Cup for Tullow as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
5 of them, I think, Tom, is it? 4 or 5 of them, I don't know. I can't count anymore.
What's that?
With 4 or 5 Carp DM Cups as well. I can't remember. One of them anyway.
That was great.
I better shoot back into work, lads.
No, but it's Johnny, great having you.
All right, see you, Johnny. Take care.
Let's look at the college stuff for the year and everything. That's Johnny Tobin there. Johnny steps out, Paddy steps in. Lads, plenty to talk about tonight. The Leinster leagues are back underway. Of course, the South East League stuff is happening as well. And then we've got that small matter of Ireland, South Africa at the weekend, 7-1 splits. And all that sort of jazz, but we'll talk about all that later. But Paddy, we're going to start with you. Welcome to the podcast. You're going to be looking after all things maroon and white for the year, J1s, J2s, women, youths, all that sort of stuff. But you got your 1A campaign up and running last weekend with a bit of an unusual out half in the shape of former professional Sean O'Brien. They got a good few
it was a strange feeling, a strange occasion in many ways, and not least because of what you just mentioned there with the former Lion number 7 playing out half. I come to that in a minute, but just in relation to the step up for Kilkenny, are well used to it in the last few years, but it was very much a step into the unknown for Tullow, and we really didn't expect the result to go the way it went. We thought we'd be out of our depth a little bit because we're missing a good few lads still. And having to improvise it out half, but we were very pleased with the outcome, as you might imagine. Like, we didn't really know where we stood with Suttonians, and as James will testify there, I mean, it's a bit of a difference from the Division 1B in terms of 4 Dublin-based teams. And while we were up there some years ago, it was a voyage into the unknown for us. Having said that, we started very well, and we had a few new lads in new positions apart from Sean, and it all worked out. Suttonians did make a bit of a comeback, but we got the bonus point win. The final score was 33-20, and we were obviously very, very, very well pleased with that. Apart from Sean slotting in it out half, we had about 5 or 6 other new lads there. We still have a fair few, as all clubs have, I'm sure, a fair few lads still playing Gaelic football, and we will be getting some of those back. I think Suttonians told us that they were missing a few lads as well. So that was it. So Sean stepped in at out half. He didn't get it. His passing was absolutely on the button, and he certainly was instrumental in getting the backs running and setting up a couple of tries. We have one new overseas signing. We lost the guy we had last year. He's gone, but we have a new guy at Fiji, and now I won't try and pronounce his second name. Aka is his first name.
I was waiting for you to give it a go there, Paddy.
Okay,
Paddy, give it a go.
Saka Asaka Avalu. So that's my best shot. I'm sure I get fluent in Fijian before. Sorry, what's that?
I heard with his brother.
Oh, right, okay. So he looked good. He looked good. I mean, he's young and he's a bit all over the place. He's still in terms of settling into the area, and but he shaped up pretty well and got a good try. I think Sean set him up for that. So yeah, Sean's kicking wasn't top drawer, but certainly his passing was absolutely top drawer stuff, and so much so that our lads weren't really ready for some of the passes, so we'll get more used to that. Sean has always said, like, when he had aspirations to come back to play with Tullow, he'd like to play in the backs. But I don't think out half was on the cards, maybe in centre or something like that. But anyway, of course, we will settle for last Sunday's results. That performance, and plus the fact that we had 4 or 5 other lads who were new to the first, some young lads in that. We didn't have a second match last Sunday, or last Saturday. But next Saturday, we're looking forward to a big day in Tullow. We're hosting Bective, and there is a Tullow connection with Bective. Bernard Jackman has been coaching him for the last few years, and I think this year he's director of rugby. Now, I'm not sure whether he'll be in Tullow on Saturday or not, but he's probably tied up in France, I imagine. But he's certainly very, very, very keen to see Bective doing better than they have in the last few years. And we don't know what to expect. They have been top of the league, I suppose, the last few years, but didn't get through the round robin, which surprises a lot of people, I suppose, given the tradition and the resources they should have, so time will tell. But we have a big day Saturday. Our seconds are out as well at 1:30, and the first out at 3:00. And our women are out on Sunday, and we're having a bit of a night then in the club after the Bective matches to a bit of a social night, and hope people will stay on for the big game. We'll be showing it in the club, so lots to look forward to on Saturday.
Good stuff, Paddy. Yeah, the interesting one was the out half.
I'm eating humble pie anyway, Paddy, because I was going to say I'm eating humble pie because I doubted Sean playing in the centre, let alone out half. And it sounds like from all the reports I hear, he actually had a cracking game. So I'll eat my words on that front.
Yeah, a lot of people were surprised, and that's great to see it. Like, it just shows the ability the man has. Like, he did play came on for a few. We did a warm-up match there against Lansdowne seconds a few weeks ago, and he came on in the centre in that particular game and did very well as well. But he got a yellow card last Sunday for his trouble too, so he wasn't holding back, let's say. And as you said, James, he certainly showed up very, very strong, So yeah, all good.
Good stuff.
There you are, caught in the hop there on the phone.
Yeah.
There you are, total pro, lads.
The other thing is just to comment, because you're probably going on to Tom and to James and Kilkenny and Carlow. And I mean, while I said going into Suttonians and going up to Suttonians was a bit of a voyage into the unknown, Tom will relate to this, like that. The Carlow Tullow matches in the last few years have been fantastic, and I think certainly for Tullow and not so much maybe for Carlow as well. I think they got our seasons kicked off, so we'll miss those local derbies this year. And it was going to be great to have Kilkenny, another local team, against us this year. But I'm not saying it's great to be in a higher division, but we'll miss the local derbies at any rate, So. And
you don't have to drive to Dundalk and Drogheda and Mullingar and Longford like the rest of us.
That's true, yeah. I mean, it's incredible the way it has worked out with those teams going in 1B. There's huge drives. The three you mentioned there, they're local drives.
There's other local ones as well, like, I mean, Kilkenny, Carlow, Athy, Cill Dara. So
Cill Dara, exactly.
There's a lot of close ones as well.
It balances out, but we've certainly avoided Dundalk, Drogheda, and and Longford is the 3 big ones, all right. Yeah, so the best of luck with that, lads.
Absolutely.
But and like yourself, James, we've 2 fairly local ones as well in Gorey and Wicklow. So those guys will be well used to playing against those teams, all right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Those games. I go to those games.
Absolutely. Should we go on to
you showed us how to beat Gorey last year in the cup anyway, James, so thanks for that.
You're welcome. James, we'll go on to Kilkenny next, of course. So you're into new territory as well, but you have Athy and Carlow, so you little short hops as well, which isn't too bad.
Yeah. I know, we're looking forward to the season. I don't think necessarily, as I said all along, I don't think coming down to 1B is necessarily a bad thing for Kilkenny. Like Tullow, we are going into the unknown, and in fairness, we had Carlow and Kilkenny last Wednesday night, and I think a lot of people in our booth think you can go down to Division 1A and play rugby and try and hit the edges and throw the ball around. And I think a lot of our own guys got a rude awakening against Carlow last Wednesday night in Kilkenny when we tried to throw the ball around. And to be honest, I think we underestimated the opposition. And as I've been explaining to the lads at Kilkenny, down in 1B, it's an attritional division. You have to front up first and foremost. You have to make the hard yards. And I think Carlow showed us that last week, that you won't get away with playing rugby. And I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, Tom, on that, but I think we tried to overplay the ball in that game. We won't get away with that against the Kildaras of the world this Sunday in Kilkenny. There's no way in the world we will. We have to earn the right to go forward. And I think that's a mantra that Steve Ashmore has brought to Kilkenny from day one when he came in. You must earn the right to go wide. You must earn that right. And the only way you do that is by your forwards making hard yards. So we've reinforced the pack this year. Conan Dunn is back, a tight head. Drew Phelan is back from a year out, a second tight head. So we had a prop crisis last year, where this year we have props coming from all angles. We have Robert Kelly back, Brian Howe. Last night there was a scrummaging session in the club, and when I say the lads went at it, by Christ, they went at it with one another. So we're kind of preparing ourselves for what's to come there. But looking forward to 1B, and looking forward to trying to build. And this is what point I was getting a few minutes ago, is there's nothing wrong with going backwards to go forwards. We can start integrating young guys into the team now. And like Tullow and Carlow, we are missing people to GAA. We are missing a few guys to hurling. So probably our starting number 7, Jay Lahey, is hurling with O'Loughlin's there at the moment. So, we mightn't see him for a few weeks yet. O'Loughlin's intermediates, not the senior team. But we're looking forward to this week. Wes Carter is back there now. Remains to be seen whether or not he'll start the weekend against Cill Dara. But, referring back to the Cup last year, after we beat Gorey, we played Cill Dara in a Cup semi-final in Portlaoise, and we probably learned a little bit about them as well out in the Cup semi-final last year. We might know what to expect from them to a degree, and we know their coach very, very well, an ex-player, Kilkenny player, an ex-Kilkenny coach, so we know what Dermot will be preparing a team to do. We are going to be minus a few bodies on Sunday, but we're looking forward to it. We have a triple header in Kilkenny on Sunday, with kicking off with the ladies, then first and then the second. So we're looking forward to it. The ladies had a bad result last weekend away, I think, to Eden Derry. Bad start to the season, but it needs to be considered with the women's team that there's a relatively new coaching team in there working around Paddy Moss, who was the head coach for the last number of seasons, and Joe Moynihan, Victor Harper, and Gary Doyle are in with the women's team. So Gary Doyle has been coaching our 18s for the last 3 years. So he's going to be bringing kind of new ways and new game plans into that. So I feel the women's team are probably just in a little bit of transition in terms of game plan, but working with Gary and the other coaches, I have every faith that they will deliver upon that game plan, Bad weekend on the youth front. I think Tullow came down to Kilkenny in force on Saturday for under 13s, 15s and 18s. I think we lost all 3 to Tullow there. Some great rugby played in both. Have to comment on some of the players, some of the backs particularly, that the Tullow under 15s brought. They had some really, really quick guys, well able to put the ball through the hands. So I would be expecting Tullow will be looking to see a lot from that team. But look, at all things lead to Sunday for us. There was a very good training session last night for the first and seconds. they really went at it. And as I said, in the scrummaging sessions, it was like Kilkenny of old back in the early 2000s watching the scrummaging sessions last night. They absolutely hopped off each other. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to say much, but we're going to.
Again, can I just intervene for a second there? Cill Dara, whatever you say about them or whatever their strengths are, they certainly have a huge strength in the front row. So that'll be interesting for you on Sunday.
Absolutely. We know they have a very, very strong front row. I think the Scully brothers there in the front row. I think one of them might have gotten injured on playing in the Defence Forces World Cup there the week before last. I saw a picture of him in a sling. And there's a chap from Kilkenny who was with us last year, Sam Smith, the second row. He's gone up to play with them this year. And we know they have a very, very, very good number 12. So I think it's going to be an exciting game on Sunday. It's hard to get the head back around to thinking Sunday rugby, but I love Sunday rugby. When we moved to Saturday rugby is when I gave up. So Tom is smiling there. Tom must have something up his sleeve now that he's ready to throw at us.
Before he does, the Saturday, we're very curious to see how the Saturday will work out as well, because I think it's 8 years since we went up into 1A before, just for 1 year, and whatever about the rugby, the support was terrible. People just couldn't get their head around going to matches on Saturday, so I'm hoping it to be different this year.
Yeah, well, we found that the first year, but then we were up there. We survived in 1B, went up in 17-18, and we were there until last was that 4 seasons, including the COVID year. And the first year was hard, but to be fair, our gate did very well in the last 2 years. So it might take time, but certainly think that it's good in the sense that people can have a few points after the game, but they don't have to work tomorrow.
It's definitely better for the players, but it was our supporters who fell away. So we're hoping to try and get a few matches later in the day on the lights on the 3G, so that might help a little bit to get the crowds out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good to have those facilities there as well, Paddy. We can do that now.
Oh, it should be a great help, yeah. It should be a great help.
Yeah.
We don't like those pitches, sure we don't, Tom?
No. Well, it's not. I don't know. There's a big mix between that. The players, some players love it. All the young lads and backs love it. A lot of forwards don't like it.
Burning their holes off themselves.
Yeah. but to be able to play 365 days of the year, anytime, day or night, rain, hail or snow, is a huge advantage over anything. So
it's not long.
They have their pros and their cons. Oh, yeah,
the other lads wouldn't be used to carpet burns.
We're not saying anything about any clubs. No.
Every pitch is perfect.
All pitches are lovely. All right, lads.
Yeah. That's why we learned that lesson a couple of years ago.
Careful, Paddy. Don't get drawn into anything.
Yeah, don't talk about conditions on the day or anything like that. It's not worth
it. Sorry, Longford.
The Midlands.
Yeah.
You were saying there, Paddy, if someone wasn't used to 4G pitches.
I wasn't saying anything there because then Tom Crotty's now is after making me more careful about saying anything. But it's, I mean, all the lads want to play on it. I mean, there is an increased risk of that particular injury if your cogs get stuck in it and you twist. That fibula injury, that's a higher risk injury. Plus the bit of burn is a bigger injury. But on balance, lads are happier to take that risk and run with that and play a much faster, more open, enjoyable game. So look at the pros and cons. But all our teams, not just the first, all our teams at this stage want to play on the 3G.
That's good. Good complaints. Tom Crotty, what's going on up in the world of Carlow, apart from the circus there in the corner? That's not you.
That's where we were training last night. No, we played it last week. We played Kilkenny on Wednesday night. Wasn't the most exciting game. Well, it was an exciting game of rugby. Actually, I was probably a bit hectic. Like I asked. Got the video off Doc, and Doc says, "You sure you want it?" And I said, "Sure, come on, we'll have a look at it anyway." And after going back and watching, when I watched the video, we watched the video again. Look, there was some good, nice rugby play, but it was like this: you got two teams who actually banged off, really hit off each other. The referee, let things go an awful lot. I mean, there was, as one of the lads shouted in, those tackles were illegal 20 years ago, let alone now. But he let the game play and literally had two teams hopping off each other. The score was 3-0 at half time. It was still 3-0, I'd say 10 minutes into the second half. Then we got a try and missed the conversion, so it was 8-0. And Kilkenny came back hopping near the end. They got a try right at the end. So like 8-5 was the final score. And there was a lot of sore bodies afterwards. And I chatted to the lads. I don't know what the Kilkenny lads. There was a few lads hopping and lipping up and down when they were coming back, and I had a bit of crack chatting to them. But I know the Carlow lads were very sore. There was a couple of lads really sore. Even my own two young lads were very, very sore. And the fact that we were getting on the bus the next day to go to France didn't help either. But the liquid painkillers helped anyway. So look, we're heading at the game. That game it was good to play Kilkenny, and it was great that we got as many players out as we did. James, I think he struggled the week before, with numbers, and to have the two teams.
Yeah, but there's another reason for that, which the club are not. Club are not happy about the club are not happy about the reason why we didn't field against Gorey. I won't get into it here, but something happened, and some of our players. Let the club down, let the jersey down that weekend. So I won't get into it here.
But look, it was nice to have the game, and it was a good because we hadn't had we played Gorey earlier on, but it was nice to get a second game in. We're playing Athy this weekend, and that's going to be to have Athy as the opener is nightmare really because it's our local derby. We're just replacing Tullow with Athy. We had two cracking games last year, both home and away. So,
where's the game at time?
It's in Athy. We're playing the seconds are playing at 3:00, and the J1s are playing at 5. But look, we're still missing one or two players. I'm sure Athy will be the same, but I think it's just going to be one of those first games. I think it'll be whoever makes the mistakes first. It'll even come down to penalties with, the way the game's going to be refereed at the moment with the high tackles. That could come into huge. That can come in as a huge cost whether you're going to get extra if you give away penalties. Yourself so many penalties and you can lose a match. So it can come down to fine. I honestly think the game between ourselves and the Athy come down to fine margins. They're a good side. James talks about coming down from Division 1A, but this year's Division 1B is a nightmare as far as between the top two and the bottom two could be anybody because there's serious teams in there. You have Boyne, Kilkenny, ourselves, Dundalk, Longford, Athy, and Cill Dara. Any one of those 7 teams could be in the bottom or could be in the top. Because I think that we know what we played last year. All the teams like Longford had a purple patch there for a while. Things went a little bit pear-shaped for them, but they fought their way back and stayed up. Cill Dara the same. Cill Dara had really got their pack, and Paddy mentioned earlier their pack were awesome last year. Very hard to play. They bet us up to stick up there, and thank God we got around them when they came back to Carlow. But they have an awesome pack. Boyne coming down are going to recruit because I presume Boyne don't want to be down. They want to get back up where they were. And then you have Kilkenny, who we know the capabilities of Kilkenny. So that league, everybody has said that everybody's frightened of this league at the moment. They really are kind of like going. You're really kind of looking to you have to win your home games. You have to get bonus points. And in fairness, Tullow last year, if you're going to look at a team that did everything really well, and the fact that I don't think there was a game, Paddy, whether you won or lost, that you didn't either get a winning bonus point or a losing bonus point, and all those points added up at the end of the season, and that was the difference between us and yourselves. If you looked at the extra points that were got in games, we got 3 tries, didn't get the 4th try, lost in the last, missed out on the bonus point, losing bonus points. All those little points add up. And I think that's even this year.
As Eddie Jones says, that's why they're called bonus points.
Well, that's it, and it's going to be so crucial. But look, we're banging. We're looking forward to it. Absolutely, with the 2 new coaches. As I said, Dave Byrne, born and bred in Carlow. Joe Bulmer, I reckon, was adopted into Carlow and still has just totally and utterly has come back this season to us as a coach, and is just Carlow mad. You know, he had a great time here when he was a student and played with us, and he has fantastic memories, and he's so enthusiastic. So you have two enthusiastic coaches there. So it's a whole new chapter. As I said, the coaches before gave us phenomenal skills as lads there. I never thought I'd see with the skill levels that they have, and it's a new chapter in the club. We're heading to a tie. The whole lot are over. We also have a special occasion on Saturday night. I presume you'll all remember Andrew Melville Melly. Melly is back with a group from New Zealand for a reunion on. I think he's come to Carlow on Friday night. They're doing something for themselves on Friday night, but on Saturday they're coming over to watch the match, and then they're coming back to the club for a reunion and watching the Irish game and a bit of music afterwards. So anybody in Carlow that's wants to catch up with Melly, or anyone anywhere that was friendly with Melly, he'll be in the club on Saturday night afterwards once we come back from a tie. So
are you taking the caravan out for him?
What? Yeah.
Are you taking the caravan out?
We're going to put it back. We're going to hire one for
That's
the
over
weekend.
the corner. Eh?
Put it back.
He's getting around, isn't he? Because I was at the opening match there between France and New Zealand. He was at that as well, so he's getting around the place.
Yeah, they were in London. I think there was pictures and they were in London and they were over and at the matches. So he's having a good tour. So I'm sure he's looking forward to a few pints in the club again. I won't be drinking with them. That's definitely not. I don't think the liver can handle any more after last weekend. So I'll have to quieten down for this one. But
where were you last weekend, Tom?
I don't know. I was lost for 48 hours.
Did you not see him on the telly, Stephen?
I did. I actually paused and around the back and said to my wife, "There's Tom."
No, we drove the whole place mad. There was 100 of us inside in the stand.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Bonzo stood up. It was like something out of Braveheart and got the crowd going near the end. There was a story behind it, but leave that for another day.
And the camera panned on him when he was doing that. There was a camera. The camera went on to Bonzo and he was standing up with the big man head on him.
Yeah, it was like a call to war. Anyway, the stewards and the skewers backed off. So anyway, it went from the fields of Athenry to ole, 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 and the last thing was you'll never beat the Irish. So we had very good. Good, very good weekend. But, look, the youths are getting on grand. They're coming back in some wins, some losses. I have, to be honest, it was in a haze at the weekend, so I can't remember who won, who lost. But I know that, look, the teams are back and they're enjoying themselves. The Rhino girls with Tullow are flying. The 16s had another fantastic win, I know, at the weekend. I'm with the 18s. We're going to Gorey on Saturday with the 18 Rhino, so that'll be our first out, and it's just been hard to get a team out. So we're hopefully out on Saturday, and the 14 Rhinos have been playing away. So the girls are flying, and the lads are. And
a big local derby on Friday night on Tullow and Carlow 18 halves are playing, I think, aren't they?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's in Tullow this week. That's the second South-East match, isn't it? Because it's that league. Actually, we're hoping to have the final of that on New Year's Eve in Carlow. So that'll be a good one.
Speaking of France and all that stuff, for about 10 minutes or so left in the podcast, we'll have a quick look back at the last weekend's match against Tonga. A job done, bigger score than we thought as well. But I suppose another block done in anticipation of the South Africa match this weekend.
Yep. Well, from the Tonga match point of view, I think it's at the first. My 50 cents worth is just the first 15-20 minutes was always going to be like that. It was a bit all over the place. But watching Ireland were very clinical after that. Really, really clinical. They handled. I mean, the Tongans were very physical. It wasn't actually. When you're at a match, you don't see. When you come back and watch it and they tell you and realise the physicality that some of the hits that were put in on players. Jesus, like they're big men. They're seriously big men. And I know the cannons are coming on Saturday, but it
would be very interesting to see how Tonga do against Scotland. They're playing on Sunday, I think, and like Tonga definitely suffered from first match syndrome and a lack of really quality warm-up games, you know, and they showed that on last week, and I think Tonga will be a different proposition against Scotland, and I wouldn't be surprised if they really put it up to Scotland next Sunday.
I'd say you're right, Paddy, because they were very upset after the game on their performance. Like if you looked at the interview, they were actually upset. They were disappointed in themselves, and I think, Paddy, you're right. That won't happen a second time.
James,
you can understand why, though, Tom. You can understand why when you look at the quality they have across the team, like Tonga in the front row, Diatu, the dude that was in Munster, Fikatoa. Like, I mean, they have quality everywhere, you know. And to be fair, like the way they moved the ball, the way they played rugby, I think it goes back to the point that you just made. Ireland were just so clinical, you know. They were class. But I actually really think that Tonga will have a right rattle off Scotland. I think Scotland are flaky, particularly with Finn Russell at 10. Yeah, I know he's capable of doing absolutely outrageous things, but outrageous doesn't win you matches sometimes. Sometimes it loses games. And I think Finn Russell might be a little bit all about himself. And I think the loss of Hogg as well to Scotland is massive. I know he retired 6 weeks out from a World Cup, which I think was unfair on his teammates. But I just think Scotland are watery, to be honest with you.
I agree totally, James. Yeah, I think totally overriding Finn Russell. And as Sean O'Brien pointed out, that we had a session in Tullow last week, and he was doing a bit of video analysis, and he showed one missed pass from Finn Russell, completely missed his first centre, and he turned around and just put his hands up in the air and started smiling, you know. And John was just saying, "Jeez, I would tolerate that in any fucking player, like, you know." It was a terrible look for a so-called leader.
Yeah. You know, don't forget, this is the same guy that Gregor Townsend chopped out of the squad 2 years ago for going on the lash in Paris. You know?
There's an attitude issue there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's able to get £1 million a year off Bath.
That's
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, crazy though.
Good going, all right.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. Hopefully, now the Tongans will give him a good back.
Tom, like, you were there on Saturday looking at it. Like, I mean, one thing that struck me was some of the angles that Ireland were running, some of the lines they were taking through the centre. Like, I mean, now I know it's about perspective seeing it on the telly, but kind of they talk about work rate off the ball and things like this. Like, looking at it there in the flesh in the stadium, what was all that like for Ireland on Saturday?
It was, especially when they were attacking the line, you could see their shape, you could see their ability to whip the ball really quickly, and then when to slow it down when they needed to slow it down. I thought Murray was really good as well. Like, and I'm 100% behind Gibson Park starting this week, but I have to say Murray was really. It was like a rejuvenation. You know, that his passing was good. His attack play was good, and his physicality is there. So I mean, it's brilliant to have all that experience on the bench this weekend. I thought Ireland's lineup was very good. I think they just have athletes, you know. And I think it's the hardest thing now is going to be playing South Africa. I don't know what sort of a game they're going to play, because that's just madness what they have. You know, I was trying to explain to someone today who doesn't really know rugby, and I said they're a football team, and I said, can you imagine taking half your football team off at half time and putting on the exact same standard players, another 7 or 8 exact same standard players on in those key positions with no change of quality, and that's what it's like. It's just like, how do you cope? How you have to find a way around that. Like, the physicality is just going to be, you have to get, like, we have to get away. We can't keep taking it. But then again, Ireland aren't small.
They're not small.
We all think that. You know, look at the weights of the packs. We're not small.
Yeah.
They may have a bomb squad.
In the way of the pack.
Somebody has to find the key.
True,
They're not invincible.
If Johnny gets on song and we keep them moving around, I think that's the only way we'll beat them. Keep them moving.
Yeah. And they're going to pick up injuries as well. Those big men will pick up injuries. We'll pick up injuries. I think it's going to be a fierce, interesting game. Your point earlier on, Tom, like, I mean, I think there's no surprises in the Ireland team for this weekend in the squad. Yeah, I would probably have question marks over Henderson, the same as you had earlier on, Tom, but being in the bench, maybe McCarthy, a bigger, stronger man, but Henderson, like, really experienced at that level, and there's something about Henderson that I don't like. He has everything, but he's missing something, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But like, we're going on about their size, but you have to remember, Leinster have played all the South African teams. Munster played all the South African teams. Munster beat them in the final of the URC, right? They have this similar size players. They don't have Leinster be near to the Irish setup, but to be able to beat those teams with the physicality, the Irish teams are now used to playing physicality. We weren't before. We missed out on that. We're not, because you only played France or you played England in the Six Nations, or you play them in the Heineken Cup a couple of games. But now they're playing every couple of weeks. They're playing South African teams, and I don't think they're afraid of them anymore.
And is Jack Crowley now number 2? He is.
Yeah, has to be. I think
that's debate is settled today with the naming of that T squad.
I said it last weekend. I said when I saw Rathbone on the bench, I said I reckon Crowley will be on the bench for the big game. And so I think he has earned it, Paddy.
Stephen, how do you feel about that?
I was wondering about the selection from an experience point of view, as I was saying earlier, but then was pointed out then his versatility, and well, you have a point with the versatility. But just for big game experience, I still go back to it. Crowley, like he had the URC final and all that sort of stuff as well, but not high-end internationals and not Champions Cup finals against the La Rochelles of the world and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? That's where I was coming from with that sort of big game stuff. Jack doesn't have that, but he does have versatility, and he is very good as well. And you have to look at versatility because you've only got Henshaw on the bench.
Welsh never started the Kilkenny match before the All-Ireland in 2012. You know that?
Well, there's one thing I think about Crowley is he has a confidence and a cockiness that we all love to have and now have. I mean, you want your out half to be cocky. You want him to be cock of the walk because he needs that. And the other thing is he's not a big man height-wise, but Jesus, he is physical. He's a very physical player. He's no fear, and he's
a better tackler.
And you hear him speaking. Watch any clip of him speaking in the dressing room. Like he holds people trying to listen to him, and he's only a kid. Yeah. And that's a huge thing to have. And I think it's something more than Ross has. But I mean, Ross has been a stalwart for Leinster and stalwart for Ireland as a replacement. So it'll be interesting to see.
And I said it earlier on. I think he's going to be the starting 10 for the Lions in 2 years' time. He'll be 24 then.
How much would Paddy Power put in that one?
I don't know.
I think Sean O'Brien could have something to say about that.
Jesus. On that note, lads, we'll wrap it up there for the week. The best of luck to all your teams this weekend. Tullow, Carlow and Kilkenny. And of course, South Africa. We're all looking forward to that match. Ireland against South Africa this weekend. Plenty of debate, and we'll tear it apart next week and have a look at what happened, and of course all the local ones as well. Paddy, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us on the first one.
Absolutely, Paddy.
And Tom, Paddy and James Blanchfield. We're back next week, lads, at the same time. Take it easy. Enjoy your weekend.